Hey guys, this is a very interesting video that I want to record right now because it has to do with the topic that we all are not very keen to go deeper into it because it's in our society a taboo topic and no one really wants to talk about it because it comes with a lot of uncertainty and with a lot of not knowing what to do. And it's death and it's grief, and with death comes griefs because something that was or something or someone that we have been attached to, and something and someone that we identify also within ourselves or in our being and in our environment, has transformed. And I'm not saying died, because I came to the conclusion and my own realization that nothing ever can die. But of course, if we lose a loved one and if we lose something or someone that's been close to us and it transformed out of the physical body and into something that we for now can't see or can't understand and can't experience, it is very hard to wrap our mind around. And that's the reason why our mind does not know all the way. Our heart does. And with our heart, the mind can be informed, so we can move in a new direction with so much more certainty, stabilization and love. And of course, we need to process grief. And of course, there's a difference with being detached or being avoidant towards that. So, long story short, I know right now what is really important is to move through the grief that's been happening within ourselves in certain aspects in our life. Either right now there is something in your life that's been closing out, something that needs to be transformed, or maybe it's really the death in physical form of a loved one or a person close by to you. Or in Matthew Perry's way, a person that had a huge influence out of the whole entertainment industry, a huge influence in our own personal life, a huge influence in the collective. And we've been processing grief right now collectively because of his light and because of his impact that he had and still has on this planet. And for that reason, it is important to shift out of the grief and out of the fear that comes with it, and the devastation and the uncertainty and the feeling powerless and helpless in order to move up and to transform it into love and into light. And how we can best do that is by lighting up a candle. And when I was hearing about his death, the first thing, of course, was like, wow, okay, I was in shock. I was like, oh my God, this is true. And then I saw his age. It was like a 54. And 54, 5 plus 4 is a 9, and 9 is completion. And I knew that he completed something very big on his journey. And that made me happy. And I also brought myself back to the teachings that I've been studying and learning, remembering that we all have within ourselves. We are just too ignorant to face it and to remember it and to go onto our spiritual path, because there are still certain layers of doubts or past influences that's been stuck, and that's okay. But anyway, what I wanted to say was, I lit up a candle and I setting the intention and I said a prayer for him to move into the highest realm possible and to send him love and light and compassion. Because as soon as I was hearing the news, my mind went into, oh my God, there will be so much grief and so much devastation right now, because so many of us are connected to him on an aspect, on a very intimate aspect, because we experience so much joy and so much emotions with him together. So we identify and basically put ourselves and attached ourselves to an aspect of him that right now we're processing grief. And yes, it can seem that we are processing the grief or feeling grief in regards of his passing. And it can also be that we are processing grief and the detachment of an aspect, of an old, outdated aspect within ourselves. However it will portray in your own personal life. So my intention with all of that is to connect to the aspect within ourselves that feels grief. If it comes from the death of Matthew Perry, if it comes more up because of the death of Matthew Perry, if it comes more up with the chaos right now that's been happening in the world, there is something within us that needs our acknowledgement and our acceptance and our awareness. And with death comes always rebirth. And he was a bright light. He was a very bright light, which brings me to the aspect of, that's just my dog drinking right now, which is interesting because water is the flow, and the flow of creativity and the flow of the energy and the flow in life. So whenever we feel stagnant, we know that the flow is missing. And sometimes it's the flow of our own inner joy and the flow also of stored emotions that need an outlet, that needs to be moved. So right now, it's actually really interesting because we're moving the energy, and we're moving the energy through a death that happened in our external world, but also happened internally right now. So let it move through you, but don't get consumed by it. Don't let it move into you, because this is a big difference. Grieve, be sad, be frustrated as long as you want to. Please acknowledge your feelings, but have it in the back of the mind that there is a different message, another message, a higher message, a message that can set you free underneath the grief. And when we light up a candle now and pray for him, it will also help his family, because when we are being attached, so attached to a loved one and emotionally very close, we have difficulty seeing certain things in a clear way. So right now what we all can do is to move the energy out of fear and into love and into something that lightens our soul up, and to change our belief and change our mind to certain things. And it helps to go deeper into spirituality, because we are all spirit in human form and we all have our own individual experience, but we all getting aspects within ourselves mirrored back in people that are crossing our path, and in this case also crossing our TVs. So make peace with the aspect within you that needs maybe your forgiveness, or the remembrance of joy and the remembrance of laughter. Because what we create within ourselves, we see in the external, and there's so much weapons right now out there, but the biggest weapon we all have is love. And sadly enough, it's been always underestimated.